Hello.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
I'm good, sir. Do you want to try sharing your screen just to double check it's working?
Okay, just give me a minute.
Sure.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes. If you can also make it full screen and go ahead a few slides. Okay, that's fine.
My screen is already in full version.
Full now. If you can change the slide.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's working. It's fine.
Okay. So let me know when you would like me to start.
Sure. I'll just introduce the talk and you. By then, we should have more people joining in. And then I'll give the floor to you. So. Bismillah ar-Rahman Rahim. I would like to welcome all our participants for today's webinar and the resource person, Professor Dr. Murtaza Najabat Ali, to this lecture series, which he will be delivering on entrepreneurship in health tech innovation. So we're going to have quite a few lectures within this domain. And today is the first lecture that is focusing on fostering an entrepreneurial mindset and an overview of models of innovation. So Professor Murtaza is going to shed light on the different facets of entrepreneurial mindset and the different steps and stages involved in the entrepreneurial process. So before we move on to the talk today, I'll have the honor of introducing our distinguished speaker for today, Professor Dr. Murtaza Najabat Ali. He's a biomedical engineer by profession and a visionary CEO of Revive Medical Technologies, and he's also serving as a professor and head of the biomedical engineering department at Rifa International University, Islamabad. He's also a comstech distinguished scholar. And Dr. Murtaza founded the Novative Health Technologies, Pakistan's first state-owned ISO 13485 certified and DRIVE licensed medical device industry. As the founding executive director of the Medical Devices Development Center at NUST, he successfully developed and produced 4 commercially available cardiovascular products: Rejuvenate, Vasoglide, Endeavor, and Tracker, all DRAP approved and priced at 1/4 of the cost of imported alternatives in the country. During the COVID-19 pandemic, he expanded production capabilities to manufacture Pakistan's first indigenous ventilator and respiratory devices, while also achieving the remarkable feature of localizing the production of specialized medical manufacturing equipment previously imported from Germany and United States. With over 50 peer-reviewed publications and 27 patents to his credit, Dr. Murtaza has secured significant amount in research funding. In terms of his research interest, his work focuses on non-active medical devices, active medical devices, wearables, AI-based solutions, biomaterials, and drug delivery systems. So we are very grateful to you, Professor Murtaza, for initiating this very important lecture series on entrepreneurship, especially in the healthcare sector. So we'll have more participants joining in as we start. So I would now like to invite you to begin this lecture first, and then we'll have any question answers right at the end of the lecture. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Hasib, for your kind words and a very comprehensive introduction about me. And Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Today, my name is Dr. Murtaza Najabat Ali, and today I'm going to shed some light on a very prevailing matter in this era, which is actually entrepreneurial, the setup in the world. And I'm going to shed light on on fostering an entrepreneurship mindset and an overview of models of innovation. So I'll start from myself. My name is Dr. Murtaza. I'm the founding CEO at Revive Medical Technologies, which is a USA-based company and having it's a USA-based company. We have set up in Minnesota, USA, which is an onshore head office along with some processes and operations over there, and we have offshore R&D and production facility in industrial area in Islamabad. And I'm also part of Rifa International University, where I'm teaching as a professor in the biomedical engineering department. And I'm also working as a distinguished scholar at Comstech for the capacity building of OIC member countries. So within this role, Comstech is I'm using Comstech's platform to go different places in different Muslim countries, and I so conduct workshops and lectures, and in some places we are engaged, and we are trying to establish medical device industry for some of the OIC member countries. And recently we have already established Saudi Arabia's first medical device industry for one of the Saudi investment group. So within this platform at Comstack, I've started this series of lectures where I can be of any help um, through my career trajectory and experience, and I can share some few things which are very important in the entrepreneurial journey for people who are working in the academia as well as in the industrial domain. Yeah. So, as Hasib has already shared with you my comprehensive overview and introduction, I think I won't be spending much time on these slides. I'm just skipping through these slides, and I'll start with the entrepreneur. So if you just go and Google around, and if you just read through some textbooks, you will find these definitions which are mentioned, in the above, in the which are mentioned in this slide, and the green definition is actually a definition of entrepreneur, which I actually sort of uh, resorted through my own career trajectory and experience, that an entrepreneur is an individual who identifies gaps in the society, particularly in political, socio-economic spheres in the society, areas in the society, and then he's risk-taking. He takes risk, and he associates himself or herself with the creating, organizing, and owning that disruptive solution to that gap which he or she has identified in the society. So through this definition, I've learned through my own career that an entrepreneur is associated with the gaps in the society. He is actually where he's living. So he finds those gaps, and then he start working on those on the solutions, on the disruptive solutions to fill those gaps in the society. And those gaps can be associated in any area in the society. It can be in the political spectrum, in the social or economics areas in the society. So the personal attributes of a successful entrepreneurs are jotted down here in this slide. You can see the first attribute is empathetic, because that entrepreneur is finding gaps in the society. So this is actually something which is mandatory, that he should be empathetic. He should feel the pain of his fellow citizens in the society, where they are struggling in different areas, and there are huge gaps in those areas. And then he is coming up with the disruptive solution, and then he's taking risk to address that and to implement that solution for such gap, where he will face a lot of resistance. He will face a lot of challenges. So he will be persistent, and then he will be a good leader, because he will have to come up with a team, because better outcomes are always associated with the teamwork. And then he will be creative, so that he can come up with a disruptive solution for those gaps in the society. And then he will be responsible. He will be the owner, the sole owner of all the decisions he's making, and he will be responsible for such decisions, whether those decisions are leading him for some failures or some breakthroughs or success stories. So he will take the ownership of those decisions he's making, the risk he's taking, and the disruptive solution he's coming up through his creativity and good leadership and persistent approach. And then he will be inquisitive. He is always thinking, he's always comprehending, he's always reasoning, and he is excellence minded. I mean, the pursuit of excellence, which is also part of our religion, that better Muslim should always pursue for excellence, whether he is a carpenter, he's a plumber, he's a scientist, he's an engineer, doctor. He should always uh, pursue, for excellence in his work, and his mind should be excellence minded. Every single day should be the better day. Every single practice in his professional life should be the better practice than the previous day. Yeah, and he should be passionate about that mission which he has taken, and he's undertook that mission, and he should be passionate about it. He should have personal interest in that kind of activity, and he should be goal oriented. Small failures, setbacks uh, would not, so deviate him from the ultimate goal. He should always keep his eyes on the goal. He should be independent. He should always be, competent enough to, uh, navigate through the technical matters, as well as the financial matters, as well as the human resource and administrative and logistic related matters. I mean, an entrepreneur should be versatile in, when he's running and his operations in a company, so that, excellence minded approach with a passion can only be possible when the team who is working under the great leadership can see that he's independent. He's not depending upon anything. He is technically sound. He's financially equipped. He knows many things, and he knows how to navigate through these challenges and reach to that goal which he has undertaken. So he's self-confident. He's risk taker. He's not risk averse sort of personality, and he's hardworking, and he can spend nights, just to achieve some benchmarks, which are associated with the ultimate goal he has undertaken. And there are some skills needed by the successful entrepreneurs. Previously, I just highlighted some of the attributes of a successful entrepreneur. So these are the skills actually which are required for us, for a successful entrepreneur, which are communication skills, uh, human relation skills. They're all associated with the previous attributes in his personality. That communication skills, will be helpful for him, so that he can communicate his vision. He can communicate, with the investors, with the team, and with the gap in the society where he's actually coming up with the, I mean, the target audience. He's actually where he's providing that disruptive solution. And human relation skills, because he's empathetic, he's a good leader, he's responsible for his own decisions, and he's passionate, so he can relate good with the humans. So he should have analytical skills, critical thinking, problem solving and decision making skills, technical skills, basic business skills, basic financial skills. So these are all the skills required by the successful entrepreneur. So entrepreneurship is actually a journey. It is basically a journey which entrepreneur, he just hops into that journey, and he spends his life in that journey. And this is actually a process of doing a gap analysis in a specific area in the society, and the process of starting and running his own business and providing a disruptive solution in the society that involves a considerable amount of risk taking. And the individual who is part of that journey is an entrepreneur. He is actually uh, an individual who conducts gap analysis, who undertakes the risk associated with creating, organizing, and owning a business. And he makes sure that a product or service is truly filling the gap in the society. Then the challenges, the kind of challenges through this entrepreneurship activities or entrepreneurial journey he faces, he actually on daily basis. These are some of the challenges which I've mentioned here, which are like knowledge gap between the developed, emerging, and underdeveloped markets or countries for conducting business. That depends where you are situated. And then the difference in accounting systems in several countries, variable rates of return, foreign exchange related variation, non-convertibility of the currencies, communication gaps, language barriers. These are all challenges because when the entrepreneur is working on the field, these are all these are the factors which are associated in that entrepreneurial journey, and these are some of the other common challenges we which he faces on regular basis, like the political unrest, legal concerns. They can pose a real challenge in the entrepreneurial journey, in the entrepreneurship activities. Same is the case with cultural differences. If he's trying to provide services somewhere in some parts of his country, and there are times when the culture or cultural differences, they sort of make the create the sort of impediment in that process, and then the discrepancies in the use of technologies, because in our society, there is a lot of problem with the general masses when you are actually launching a technology, whether they are well versed or well equipped, in having and using that kind of technology. Then the complexity in the markets, supply chain problems and concerns, lack of specific infrastructure in some countries, financial markets and their volatility, uh, uh, associated with some political unrest and legal problems. So these are all in entrepreneurship challenges. I'm just sharing it with you so that you can see what kind of challenges uh, can create a lot of problem. So the process of entrepreneurship can be observed through the this 6 stage process. It's a 6 stage process. Like, first of all, you identify a gap, and that identifying of that gap is basically an identification of an opportunity, and then establish a vision where you can fill that gap, and where you can you can make best use of that opportunity, and then you can persuade others, you can build up a team which will work under your leadership. You can persuade investors who will invest in that uh, business, and then you will have to gather resources, financial resources, human resources, other miscellaneous resources, and then you create new venture, product, service, or market, and then you make a real change in the market with time and through the process of harvesting. That I will come to that point shortly. What exactly is the harvesting? So, sorry. Uh, I hope you can see my slides. Okay.
Yes, they're visible.
Yeah. So this is actually the 6 stage entrepreneurial process, and the this process starts basically with the discovery, and then the concept development, and thirdly the gathering of the resources for the actualization and realization of that mission, and that holistic and disruptive sort of solution or product you are actually uh, providing to the society. And then fifth is the harvesting. So let's start with the discovery. This stage, the discovery in which the entrepreneur generates ideas, recognizes, make himself aware with the opportunities, and he studies the market. So if he's finding a gap, he is also actually recognizing the opportunity. He's also identifying the opportunity, and he's studying the market and the market needs and demands. So he considers the following: hobbies or skills of the general public, consumer needs and wants, what exactly their needs and what exactly their requirements. And then he conducts surveys and questionnaires, and then he studies the demographics, different segments of the society, population wise, and their demands and needs and their hobbies and skills and their lifestyle. Everything that is actually the consideration point when you are in the discovery phase in the entrepreneurial journey. And then in the second step, you develop a concept. So in that stage, yeah, entrepreneurs, they prepare the following in this stage. When they are into concept development stage, they develop a business plan, and this is actually a detailed proposal that describes everything related to idea, concept, and it also involves an investigative exercise and then an execution exercise. I'll come to the investigative exercise in the business plan and the execution exercise shortly. And then he chooses the location of the business. Is the business online? Does it have a physical location? Have to be, does it require a physical location for customers to visit and to purchase products or services, or combination of both? And then he decides if the idea will need a patent, trademark, any kind of protection, any kind of IP related protection or not. Thirdly, he gathers the resources. And in this stage, the entrepreneur identifies and acquires the financial, human, and capital resources needed for the venture's startup. For example, he contemplates on the following points, like uh, gets into the identification of the potential investors, and then sometimes he just reaches out to his own family, friends, and gets into the bootstrapping process where they are pooling in, and he's just gathering that resource from his own family and friends, and from his own pocket, and he's just investing and starting this kind of venture. And then, if sometimes he's eligible for some loans, grants, and financial assistance from any donor agency, he applies for that and he gets that kind of resource through that. And then gathering this of resources means gathering of the finance, gathering of the human resource, capital resource. It encompasses everything. And fourthly is the realization and the actualization phase, where the entrepreneur uh, operates the business. He launches the business and he starts his business activities, and he starts regulating his operations, and he started utilizing his resources which he has gathered in the previous stage to achieve the ultimate goal objective. And then he prepares for the following: grand opening of the business, day-to-day operations of the business, optimization of operations through due diligence. So it is not only that the launching of the business and regulating and managing day-to-day operational activities of the business, but also the optimization of the resources and the operational activities through due diligence, so that he can uh, create some reserves and spend those financial reserves and other resources which he has conserved, in the expansion of the business, in the harvesting process, which is the fifth and last stage of the business. And you must have heard about different in the startup ecosystem that most of the startups, they have an exit strategy. So this stage, I mean, it is not applicable on all businesses, but in most of the startups, they come up with a product or service, and then they reach to a certain point, and then they sell their assets and everything, equity. They dilute their equity, as and they get the investment, and then they reinvest their investment into another concept, into another venture, into another company. So this is very common in the startup ecosystem. So the stage in which the entrepreneur decides on ventures future growth, development, or demise, acquisition. So business harvesting is basically a systematic practice by which the entrepreneur recovers value gained by the entity through the selling of individual assets, as well as the entire firm as a whole. Sometimes you just sell individual assets, you get the investment through by selling of some assets from some by some shares, some equity, and then when you get the investment, you expand your operations and you reach and create presence in some territories, in some regions where your operations have not been there, and you would like to explore those markets through the selling of individual assets, shares. And at times you opt for a complete exit strategy, and you sell your company and get the investment and then reinvest that investment into another venture. So these are all actually the options in that fifth stage, which is the harvesting stage, and that actually determines the venture's future growth, development, and or acquisition demise. So entrepreneurs consider the following future plans of the business: expansion to additional locations, company to change structure. So if you're running a company and you would like uh, to have some presence in the Gulf state or Middle East, in GCC countries, so most of the cases you sell your assets, you sell your shares, equity, and you get the investment, and then you open up an office over there and start your operations over there through that investment. Because organically, when you are generating some funds and you are meeting your expenses, that doesn't allow you to set up an office into another territory. So for that purpose, in most of the cases, you dilute your equity in a way that you get the investment and you then reinvest that investment into that kind of change or that kind of expansion plan. So when you are starting a business, you will have to understand some procedures and requirements for starting a business. First of all is basically the investigative step. I mentioned earlier in my previous slide about the investigative as well as the execution process. So this is actually the feasibility studies and investigative step, is an investigative exercise. So first of all, the feasibility is a complete uh, business study, or you may call it a feasibility analysis. Sometimes they use different terms for that. Techno-commercial feasibilities or feasibility analysis or feasibility study. These are all investigative exercises uh, where you identify a business concept, an idea for a new business, and then you write it down clearly and concisely as a business concept. So business concept is a clear and concise description of a business opportunity, that the gap in the society and the business opportunity. And it contains four elements. Number one, the product or service. What kind of product or service you are coming up to fill that gap and to make best use of that business opportunity. And then the customer, the target audience, and then the benefit it is posing, it is providing in that society through that product or service. And finally, the distribution, the value chain. So its purpose is to focus your thinking. So you will have to actually consolidate your thoughts and come up with a very concise and clear business concept in the first place in your business, in your feasibility study, which is an investigative study process. So you will have to jot it down, what kind of product or service being offered uh, to the solution you have, to that gap in the society. Who are your target audience? Who are going to pay for the product? What are the benefits and features and attributes of that product or service? Benefit promotes or enhance the value of product, and feature actually they determine the distinctive aspect, quality, or a characteristic of a product. And then the finally delivery, the value chain system associated with your business concept. Is it going to be a retail business? Is it going to be a wholesale, mail order, internet, e-commerce, door to door? What kind of uh, how you're going to actually what exactly is the flow of product or service from the producer to the consumer? So that will actually determine through a process of delivery. Then when you are done with the business concept, you will have to see the features and benefits associated with that concept. Then the you can test that concept. So an entrepreneur can use a feasibility analysis in order to decide if there is enough demand for a product or service. So this is an investigative exercise. You test that concept, and it allows the entrepreneur to decide whether a new business concept has potential or not. And then testing the concept in the market. A feasibility analysis can help an entrepreneur determine whether a business conditions are appropriate to go further with starting a business. So testing the concept in the market requires target audience, the kind of product service you are coming up, the founding, what kind of team is associated with you, whether they are going to deliver that kind of product or service or not, whether they're equipped knowledge wise, skill wise, uh, to deliver that kind of product or service or not. And is there any competition already in the market or not? So whether you are dealing with the competition, or is it going to be something new? Is it going to be something disruptive without having any competition, or is it going to be something which has a lot of competition in the market? And what are the needs of your venture and business? And what exactly would be the value chain? What exactly the delivery cycle? Is it going to be delivered through e-commerce, through internet, or through delivery? or through retailers, distributors, and what is it, what exactly is the industry it is falling in? So industry uh, is a definition of industry is a group of businesses with a common interest. That is the definition of industry. So uh, the broadest level of feasibility analysis looks at the industry in which the business will operate. In what kind of group of businesses with a common interest it is falling in, and then you will have to have interaction with the customer, the target audience, so that you can see and measure their interest in your product or service, and identify the target audience, and identify the target segment within your market. That what kind of market share you have, and then testing product or service requirements. I mean, sometimes you will have to, most of the time, you will have to come up with a prototype service or prototype as a product, and then you test it in house as an alpha prototype and as a beta prototype. You expose that concept in the real with the real target audience, so that you can get their feedback and input, and you can incorporate that kind of feedback so that it can be well accepted within that target audience. And then you can convert that beta prototype into a minimum viable product. So I'll just quickly, and then finally, if there is any protection required, any kind of patent or copyrights or trade secrets are required to protect that kind of uh, concept, so that you can navigate through easily through those markets and target audience without having any fear or any setbacks of any kind of breach. And then you will have to come up with a competition grade. Competitive grade is basically a tool to evaluate the competition, in your segment of the market where you are actually flowing and launching your product. And then looking at startup resources, that what kind of resources are required, what is it at your disposal right now, what you will get in an iterative way through investment, in a stage wise activity, and how is it going to be used to run that show, to run that venture. And you will have to analyze and investigate the value chain. A business can create a competitive advantage by improving the value chain or its product or services. The value chain includes both manufacturers, distributors, retailers. So the distribution channel through which a product service flows from the producer to the customer is actually a value chain. So you will have to optimize and improve the value chain and analyze it. So you can see, most of the cases, you come up with a good product, but it is very difficult for a product to flow from your premises as a producer into the market to your target audience, because of the uh, poor value chain available in the market segment. So you will have to identify the value chain and improve it, so that your product can reach to the target audience well in time with good quality and cost. Because value chain is very important. Let me just emphasize it here again, because if you are producing a product in a very cost effective way, and the value chain is making that product is making that product not cost wise effective to the consumer, to the target audience, so they have actually multiplied your effort by zero. So you've identified the gap in the society, and you came up with an indigenous cost effective solution as a product, as a service, to fill that gap in the society, and the value chain is making the whole process very costly for the consumers. So there is no fun working with that kind of value chain and wasting your resources and time and everything. So you will have to identify the value chain well in advance time in your investigative exercise, which is a feasibility study, and then you will have to improve it so that your product will reach to the customer with the right cost and time and quality. And then when you are done with the investigative exercise, Now you would need a business plan. So the business plan is going to be a Bible for you. So feasibility study was like is like investigative exercise for you, and now you are preparing a business plan, which is an execution exercise, which is actually a Bible for you, and you will have to stick to this business plan. In each and every step you will take uh, after launching your business. So business plan is basically, it presents a strategy for turning a feasible business concept into a successful business. And feasibility study, when you are starting a business plan, that means if you are following a true entrepreneurial process. So if you are coming up and preparing a business plan, that means your feasibility study, which is an investigative step, has already allowed you to hop it into that kind of business, to get into that kind of business. That's why you are preparing a business plan, because your investigative exercise is dictating you to go ahead with the business plan. And after the business plan, you will start the business execution, realization and actualization of your business, which is the fourth step I mentioned in my previous slide. So, business plan is an execution exercise, and it actually requires and it presents a strategy so that you can, in a very feasible way, uh, convert your business concept into a successful business operation. So once you have a feasible business concept, the next step is to develop a business plan. So business plan encompasses, and it comprises of several things which are mentioned here. Um, this is actually the format of a business plan I'm just sharing here. It starts with the cover page, title page, table of contents, executive summary, management plan. In your feasibility study, you were investigating the management, the company description. In your feasibility study, you were actually getting into the due diligence process and investigating and evaluating the description of your business. Then why are you starting it? What are the benefits associated with it? What are the target audience? And who will uh, provide your service, your product to the consumer value chain? So, this is actually the description of your company, product and service plan, mission and vision statement, industry overview, market analysis, competitive analysis, marketing plan, operations plan, organizational plan, financial plan, growth plan, contingency plan, risk management plan. Contingency plan is also risk management plan, and supporting documents if needed. So when you're starting a business plan and developing a business plan, so sorry, when you're starting a business, you will have to have these three things. And this is actually the execution part of the business plan. The investigative part is done with your feasibility study, which is dictating you to start with the business plan. So when you're starting a business, you have to have a good sound business plan at hand. Then you should have resources, acquire finances and everything, and then you will have to meet all the legal regulatory requirements which are linked and associated with your business. So when you are developing a business plan, is it's basically a complete detailed proposal, and that can be presented to the investors and lenders so that you can acquire financial resource, and that can also be used internally with your management team as a Bible so that they can navigate through the execution process of your business plan, with a scripted approach. Every single thing will dictate them, do this thing. These are the do's and these are the don'ts. So they will have do's and don'ts in while navigating through the execution process of the business through a business plan. So business plan are used in both ways: externally with investors and lenders, and internally with the management as a Bible. So business plans are used to obtain finances, resources. It helps organize and analyze data critical to new businesses. It provides a startup proposal and outlines to follow when starting the business. So I'm not actually getting into these kind of nitty gritty of the business plan, the executive summary, the product service plan. Uh, I would like to just give you an overview about the business plan because of the time constraint. There are a lot of things which I would need several lectures just on the business plan. Anyways, uh, let's come here. And so the business plan, as I've told you, that it's basically a proposal and a plan, execution plan, and it's a dual use document that can be used both internally and externally, with your investors and audience sitting outside. So there are two primary audiences for a firm, of a company's business plan. The company's employees, where they would require a business plan. As a clearly written business plan helps the employees of a company operate in sync and move forward in a consistent and purposeful manner. So that becomes a Bible for them, and that determines do's and don'ts in each and every step they take, whether it is financial step related to finances, market, product, service, regulatory, legal. Gives them a guidance and support through navigation in the execution plan. So the secondly, investors and other external stakeholders. The company's business plan must make the case that the company is a good use of an investor's funds or the intention of others. And these are actually the contents of the business plan. They are written down here very clearly. I can just share with you the types of business plan. There are three types of business plans which are shown in the next slide. That the summary business plan is like 10 to 15 pages normally, and it works best for new ventures in the early stages of development that want to test the waters actually to see if investors are interested in in this idea or not. So that would require a very concise business plan, approximately like 10 to 15 pages, so that see the interest of the investors and lenders and other stakeholders. The second type is full business plan, which is like 25, 35 pages. It works best for new ventures who are at the point where they need funding or financing. Serves as a blueprint for the company's operations. If you're expanding your operations, you would need this kind of full business plan to grab more attention and funding and attract more investment. And this operational business plan is a huge document, and it is very in detail, and it is meant primarily for an internal audience, for your management, for your team. And it works best as a tool for creating a blueprint for a new venture's operations and providing guidance to operational managers. So I'll just skip through these slides because I'll just see what is important, because there's a lot in the business plan. There are different sections and components of the business plan. And so we start with the executive summary and then industry analysis. Um I told you that industry by definition means a group of businesses with common interests and common objectives. So you will have to analyze the industry size, growth rate, and sales projections, industry structure, how it operates, and the nature of participants, key success factors in that industry where your business is falling into that category, the industrial trends, the long-term prospects in that industry, and then the company description, company history, mission statement, products and services that you are launching and you're trying to launch through that business, current status, the legal status and ownership, key partnership, if any, market analysis. I mean, if you have highlighted and identified your market, that is not the case yet. You are going to sort of attract and acquire the entire market. You will have to pick and choose a certain segment in that market that will become your target market segment. And that can only be possible if you will do a very detailed market analysis and see the behavior of the buyer and consumers, and see the competition, and through competition grid and competitive grid, and through that analysis you will see where your product and service will fall, and how much the would be the market share you are anticipating in the first year, in the second year, and in the fifth year, or after a decade. So the growth plan, how you are going to get into the harvesting phase, where you will have to dilute some of the shares, equity, or you will just go for like exit strategy and get the investment and reinvest it into another concept. Then the identification and risk mitigation and management plan, which is the contingency plan. And that section of the business plan looks at the risk to business, such as changing economic conditions and lower than expected sales, these kind of contingencies, and the management of these contingencies. So if then suggests it then suggests ways to minimize the risk and to mitigate the risk, how you are going to mitigate such risk. When first of all, you will have to highlight those risks, and then you will have to come up with a mitigation strategy to minimize and avoid those risks. The economics of the business, like revenue drivers, profit margins, what would be the revenue driving streams through your product and services, and what would be the profit margins in the first year, in the second year, and then you can identify the fixed and variable cost, the operating leverage and its implications, startup cost, and then break even chart and calculations. uh, there are many things associated in the financial projections and working. People who are, I'm not sure if somebody is from the finance side, he can see the net profit, the gross profit, the EBITDA, and everything. It is all involved in this kind of analysis and planning phase of the economics of the business. And then the marketing plan, overall marketing strategy, how you are going to conduct your marketing exercise, and promotions and distributions and seminars and exhibitions, and what would be the sales tactics, and how you're going to sell your product or service. That is actually that all uh, comes under this plan, which is the marketing plan. The design and development plan, this is very important, because if you're developing a completely new product or service, you need to include a section in your business plan that focuses on the status of your development efforts, because items include in this section like development status and task, challenges and risk, projected development cost, things like that. Because many seemingly promising startups never get off the ground because their product development efforts stall, or the actual development of the product or service turns out to be more difficult than thought. As a result, this is very important section for business uh, plan, where you can develop a completely new product or service. And then the operations plan, and that outlines your business will run, how your business is going to be run, and how your product service will be produced and flow into the towards the target audience through a value chain, which you have already analyzed. And this plan will also incorporate the improvement of that value chain, so that the operations will be seamless, less costly, and less time taking. And secondly, the operations plan also incorporates the business location. What would be the right location for that kind of service or product you are trying to penetrate into the market, and the facilities and equipment is required in the operations of that business. And the team is everything: the company structure, the hierarchy, the organogram, management team, board of directors, board of advisors, company structure, the technical team, the financial team. So that kind of planning cover comes under this component of the business plan. And the financial projections, they are very important, because uh, when you do the homework in this section about the cost of your product, the cost of your producing your product, or the cost of launching your service, then you will have to make some financial projections associated with the uh, cash flows and revenue, and gross profit and net profit and EBITDA, and return of investment, and things like that. So now let me just share with you some of the innovation models in the world. Most of the in the developed world, most of the universities, they are in their fourth generation, and there are fourth generation universities. In Pakistan, NUST actually has transitioned from third generation to fourth generation, that I know of. Probably I'm missing some more names. The third generation, the definition of third generation university is basically is a venue where in that venue you are mostly generating and creating new knowledge. You're in most of your activities through teaching, through research, you are actually generating new knowledge and you are contributing towards new knowledge and you are imparting less actually. And that is actually the knowledge based that leads that activity towards knowledge based society and economics. And this actually also part of the triple helix model where the academia, industry, and government trilaterally they create a hybrid network where they work hand in hand and come up with a knowledge based society. And through and academia, government, industry together they are generating knowledge infrastructure in terms of overlapping institutional affairs, with each taking the role of the other, and with hybrid organizations emerging at the interfaces. So basically what happens is, when in the academia, in the realm of academia, there are some industrial experts coming and giving lectures and participating in the academic research. And in the industry, some people, some professors, some faculty or research fraternity, they are working in the industry. They are helping their industrial problem, process flows, flow related problems, process related problems, product related problems, and they are using their knowledge and skills to help the industrial management and technical team, so that they can avoid that kind of process related, product related problem. And government, the role of government in this triple helix model is to make the right framework, make the environment conducive where these three entities can work hand in hand and help the society based on knowledge economy. So this is actually the triple helix model, and today we are also part of quadruple helix model, where the civic society is the fourth actor, is the fourth component in that uh, innovation model. So triple helix innovation model is basically it effectively uh, there's a term written here that effective triple helix partnership always require a cultural change. So when you are coming up with a through a triple helix model, you are making the university self-sustainable, because that university is generating uh, uh, resource and economics and finance while working with the industry and by giving services to the industry. And the government is making the whole environment, the whole ecosystem so conducive that the industry is ready to pay back to the academia, where the academia is helping them in problem solving exercises related to the process flow and product. And industry is also getting the benefit from the academia, where they are integrated a highly uh, knowledgeable, qualified, skilled people. They are integrated. They are champions in their field. They have published a lot of, and they've done a lot of research, and they are working in the industry with the technical production team, and they are helping in their problems. So both of them, they are getting the benefit, and the government is making a right framework and right guidelines and system where they can work without any communication gap, and where the industrial experts, they are working in the academia, academic research labs, and academic research fraternity, and professors and faculty, they are also working with the industry, within the industry, and they are helping them to solve that kind of societal gap. So that knowledge based economy is basically through an innovation model, which is triple helix, and that makes and converts a third generation university into a fourth generation university. Let me apprise you, the third generation university is actually is relying upon some revenues which this university is generating through student fee, tuition fees, and government support and funding budgets, and some scholarships, donations from other donor agencies. So third generation university is not actually generating any resource. But the fourth generation university, because it's work by virtue of working with the industry and generating some economics and finances through that activity, it is actually making the university self-sustainable, where most of the operational activities of the universities, they are being catered and handled financially through their own uh, research and development activities with the industry, and the government is making the whole operational operation very conducive, very pragmatic for both entities in this triple helix model. So I'm just trying to conclude here with the last segment of my talk today, and I'll just shed light on my own career, where I studied mostly in US, in UK, and I worked with German industry. I got myself trained in German industry, and when I landed back in 2012, when I established NUST, Biomedical Engineering and Sciences Department at NUST University, because when I landed back from abroad, I realized that if I'm going to start a medical device industry, there isn't any market ready human resource available in the country. So, first of all, I will have to set up a biomedical engineering and sciences department, and from there, I will pick and choose the right team, uh, and then I will get them trained, and then start this kind of industrial activity where we will be setting up a manufacturing unit for indigenous medical devices in the country, because Pakistan has been importing 100% every single medical device which you are using. It is being imported by from outside, and there's a lot of foreign exchange being consumed every year in the imports of such medical devices. So I started with the biomedical engineering and sciences department, and I started my own research. I established my research projects, started publishing it, and then started filing patents for them, for those projects. And then I initiated with the postgraduate and PhD programs. And then I established different labs where I sort of initiated different research projects for different industries, where we were developing different technologies, healthcare technologies and devices, and we were transferring those technologies and healthcare devices to the relevant industry. And then in 2015, I was called upon by the Prime Minister office and was given a mandate to set up Pakistan's first medical device industry, state-owned medical device industry. And this whole process started uh, initially in 2007 in NESCOM, where I established pilot scale production facility for the production of cardiovascular stents. And then finally, when in 2015, I was given a mandate from the Prime Minister office for a purpose-built, state-owned medical device industry. I founded this Innovative Health Technologies, which is a state-owned public sector company which is producing cardiovascular stents, catheters of different types. So this is the only facility. This has been the only facility um, few weeks ago in the country, which was certified by the European Union regulatory body, and then from UK-based certification agency, and then finally we got the manufacturing license in 2019. This was the first manufacturing license we got from DRAB in the history of Pakistan. No such entity got any manufacturing license for the production of medical devices in the country. So we were the first one who got this manufacturing license from DRAB after an extensive spell of inspections and audits, both from the DRAB inspectors as well as from the inspectors from European Union for ISO 13485 certification. And Prime Minister himself inaugurated the facility in 2020. And then these are some of the snapshots of that facility, which we established in the public sector through the funding from Ministry of Science and Technology and from the mandate given to us by the Prime Minister office. I'll just skip through these slides. These are some of the snapshots of that facility. These were the four products: cardiovascular life supporting devices. Rejuvenate is the bare metal stent, non-medicated. Endeavor is the drug-eluting stent, which is the medicated cardiovascular stent. Vasoglide is the angioplasty balloon catheter, and then Tracker is the diagnostic angiographic catheter. And during COVID, we also developed the ventilator and other respiratory devices. So coming towards Revive Medical Technologies, this when I uh, started Revive Medical Technologies almost 2 years ago, I started and launched this company in USA, and in Pakistan we have an offshore R&D and production facility. And my entire core team, which has been working with me for the last almost more than 1 decade, they also joined Revive Medical Technologies. So this is actually has been the rich history of Revive Medical RMT team, uh, and rich history is about setting up Pakistan's first state-owned medical device industry, and we are the pioneers in the R&D, production, and licensing of medical devices and healthcare technologies in Pakistan. Because I've been also running a regulatory wing where a team of regulatory affairs specialists have been working with me for the last almost 14-15 years, and they are involved in the regulatory approvals from US FDA, from European Union for European CE marking, with Saudi FDA, with UK MHRA for UK CA approvals, and from DRAP. So this cross-functional RMT team has been involved for the last 2 decades in the R&D of medical devices, health and healthcare technologies, for the production of medical devices, and for the regulatory approvals of medical devices from the regulatory bodies. So this company has an onshore head office in Minnesota, USA, and in Islamabad we have industrial area where we have an offshore R&D and production facility of about 45,000 square feet. And this the Revive Medical Technology is basically a one-stop shop where we convert ideas into a market-ready products. So the global setup with regards to medical devices is that there are three types of medical device companies in the world. One is the medical device R&D company with limited scope. Then there's another type which is called medical device manufacturers or OEMs with limited scope. And then thirdly, the medical device regulatory companies with limited scope. Why they all have all these three types have limited scope? Because the medical device manufacturers and OEMs, if they have a specialty in the cardiovascular implants and devices, they have no clue about the respiratory devices or even the monitoring devices like glucose monitoring and blood pressure monitoring. And same is the case with medical device R&D companies. They are niche and they have specialty in one area or maximum in couple of areas. And same is the case with the third type of medical device company, which is the medical device regulatory company. If that company, medical device regulatory company, is based in USA, they know the procedures and the process of US FDA approval, but they have no clue about the European CE marking approvals and Saudi FDA approvals and DRAP approval in Pakistan and UK CA approval from UK MHRA. So they also have a very limited scope. So that actually poses a real challenge in the world where these entities, which I've mentioned in my slide, like physician entrepreneurs, health tech startups, physician-led companies, entrepreneurs, universities, small and medium-sized medical device industry and manufacturers, when they have an idea and investment ready, they will have to go through different venues. So it has the conversion process of an health tech idea into a market ready product has always been a multi-venue process. Because if you consider just one a glucose monitoring device as a concept, the medical grade software would require that you will have to get it done from one company, from one R&D company, and the medical grade electronics would for medical grade electronics you will have to knock another venue. Same is the case with the if there is a biological or some drug related coating uh, um, related to that device, you will have to get it done from one other venue. And for regulatory approvals, you will have to go somewhere else. And for manufacturing, you will have to get that kind of contract manufacturing or OEM services from somewhere else. So this has always been a multi-vendor process, and that made the whole innovation process in the medtech and health tech industry very expensive and slow. So this fragmented approach poses a high cost and a very slow process. The time frame is very lengthy, and lack of cohesion between different teams. So there is no centralized strategy. So Revive Medical Technologies is providing a very holistic and disruptive solution to the world, where we have a very cross-functional team of highly skilled and multidisciplinary specialists and scientists and engineers. They are scientists, engineers, production specialists, and regulatory affairs specialists, a very seasoned and cross-functional team, integrated with three multifaceted wings. We have R&D wing comprising of different 10 different research labs. Then we have a production wing comprising of certified clean rooms and production infrastructure. Then we have regulatory wing. So this is a truly a one-stop destination or one-stop shop. You can see through these pictures that how we can convert an ideation into a medical grade electronics, through a medical grade software into a prototype, and then conversion of that prototype into a licensed minimal viable product. And that we do, in a very accelerated way, with a very cost effective and time efficient way, because everything is in-house. You don't need to go around different doors and different venues to get each and every module done, and that actually makes the whole process very costly and time taking. So this was the reason, this has been the reason, that all these entities like physician entrepreneurs, health tech startups, universities, small and medium sized manufacturers, they they have been having a fear that, just to get the market access of an idea in the health tech domain would need 5 years and $1 million investment. So we actually came up with a holistic and disruptive solution at the fraction of the cost and the fraction of the time. So these are our turnkey services: product development, product testing, regulatory approvals, and contract manufacturing. If you will land and reach out to us with uh, a concept, an idea, we convert that idea into a product. We do the product testing, validations, and test, and finally the regulatory approvals. And if you will uh, opt for not going into the production because you don't have an experience or resource available, we can give you contract manufacturing services where we can send you the anonymous batches, and then you can sell your product with your own brand name wherever you would like to. So this is actually a very multifaceted, centralized strategy, which makes this whole process a single venue approach with a consolidated and coordinated effort, and with a cohesion between regulatory affairs specialist, production specialist, and research team. So these are some of the labs in the R&D wing. You can see different labs. There's a diverse range of operation by virtue of having this diverse infrastructure. So these are different labs at Revive Medical Technologies. We have medical grade electronics, PCB designing, PCB manufacturing, PCB testing, then biomaterials and drug synthesis lab, microbiology lab, biomaterials testing lab. Then we have mechanical workshop, 3D printing lab comprising of robust industrial grade 3D printers, very fast, and we can 3D print all kinds of polymers, soft, flexible elastomers to rigid plastics. We can even print carbon reinforced polymers and plastics. And then we have design and simulation lab, software and artificial intelligence center, where we are developing different healthcare software solutions, medical diagnostics softwares for US and European market. We get the radiological images and data, and we convert and use those images and come up with an AI driven software for as a medical diagnostic software. Then we have medical testing, device testing lab. This is our production wing, comprises of different ISO class 578 and clean rooms, certified facility integrated with the microbiology setup. And then we have a very seasoned team of regulatory affairs specialists Just see the scope of this team. They have been working with US FDA, European CE marking, UK CA, Saudi FDA, China, Malaysia, Australian TGA, and Pakistan RAP. And these are our achievements for the in the last few years. We deployed and commercialized several medical devices and got US FDA approvals done, European C approvals done, and established Pakistan's and Saudi Arabia's first medical device industry. So you can see the global clients comprising of different universities and manufacturers and healthcare startups and physician-led startups. These are some of the products. You can see the diversity of products from drug coating recipe of stents to different sprays and emulgels and nanoparticles and microspheres as an injectable to devices like AI-enabled video dermatoscope, laryngoscopes, infusion pumps, syringe pumps, stents, catheters, and then softwares. These are our machines wherever we are commissioning or setting up a production unit for any investment group. We use our own machine because that brings the capex for the investment significantly down. Because if you will buy the same machinery from US or European market, the capex will go up. So that actually benefits the investors, and they are always ready to invest less in the first place. And we can use our machine so that the investment can be less and they will start getting the revenue. So this journey I've shared with you just to augment my discourse about uh, entrepreneurial journey and entrepreneurship activities, and uh, to share with you that when I graduated and I did my master's and post graduation and PhD and postdoc from UK and I landed back in Pakistan, I initially identified the gap, and then I started working for the in for that gap passionately. And I made lot of decisions with lot of risk I took. I faced lot of challenges, but I'm persistent and consistent in my strategy that this is the ultimate goal. So in at again, after leaving the federal government, I'm running a private sector industry in Islamabad, and we are fulfilling gap in Pakistan, where we are now launching our made in Pakistan medical devices at the fraction of the cost with the good quality, so that we can get into the import substitution process, cut down the foreign exchange being consumed and utilized in the import of such medical devices, create jobs for biomedical engineers who are graduated and they have no platform to contribute in their society in a productive way. So this has always been my mission, and this kind of entrepreneurial process enables every each and every individual, if he has if he is actually has the right ingredient in his strategy as an entrepreneur. So you will definitely reach to that culmination point, and you will achieve your objectives and goals if you have the right ingredient in your strategy. If you're a good entrepreneur with all the attributes, and you have done the investigative step with which is a feasibility study, and then you are done with the business plan, and that business plan is like a bible for you, and now you are strictly following that business plan, and you have a very goal oriented approach, you will definitely get the right results. Thank you very much for your time, everyone. And if you have any questions, the session is open for any queries, any questions. And I hope
Thank you very much, sir.
this was helpful to all of you. Um, I made an effort to just to share my experience and my journey, so that probably it may help somebody in the audience.
We have had a lot of positive comments in the chat. So there was one question shared by Muhammad Abdullah. He said that if an idea seems unique, but the demographic position doesn't support many customers, should we take the idea outside the country and target a foreign audience instead? And as someone new to the market, how can I overcome the fear of starting from zero, knowing that it requires not just mental effort, but also financial investment, which can be especially difficult for someone with no prior business background?
Yeah, I can only give you an advice in my own field, because I'm not well versed with the automotive industry, with other industries. I can give you an answer with my own experience. When the regulatory body in Pakistan, like DRAP, when it was established and it was in infancy. So it was most viable for people like us to get the FDA approval done first and produce and develop your product somewhere where you will get the US FDA approval, and then you can launch that product in the market in Pakistan. Instead of you will waste and wait like few years in Pakistan and wait for the your local regulatory body to to get themselves equipped and give you a license. So, to answer your question, sometimes you will have to make hard decisions if your product is can fill the gap in the society, and there are some impediments and there are some local challenges, and but those local challenges can be addressed and can be solved through, a foreign approach where you sort of curtail and resolve those challenges from, so by having your presence in GCC country, and then you are actually launching that kind of service and product into the society where you belong to. So I think that can be possible, and that can be one of the solution to that societal gap. So that depends actually that what kind of gap you have addressed, and what kind of product service and the dynamics associated with your business plan and your feasibility study. I hope
There's another
I
one
answered.
by Ijazul Haq. What if someone exploits the gap we identified before us? Is it wise to go for it no matter what, or just leave the idea?
Exploit the gap. I mean, I don't understand. Could you please explore more or expand it more? What do you
Yes.
mean by exploit the gap?
I'm guessing he means that if has got the same idea, do we still just go for it, or do we leave that idea?
We are living in in an era where now everything is becoming an open access, an open source. Even the China, they are producing, even the US based companies in automotive industry, they are coming up with new electronic vehicles with an open access sort of technology so that Chinese can copy. And that era is gone where you were we used to be very protective about our idea, because now, yeah, the population of the world is huge. Even if you just pick Pakistan, we are just exponentially growing in population. And if you will just uh, sort of waste your time and resources just to protect that idea, I think it's not wise. It's better that you just launch that idea and fill that gap. And if somebody will come up with the same idea, or with the familiar idea, or very close to that idea with the same solution, that will help the society, because the numbers are huge now. We have we are like 250 million people in Pakistan. I hope I'm sharing this right figure. So to address that kind of huge population, you are not going to address the 100% or 50% of the market or the target audience, because the numbers are huge now. So you have to have an open access approach now. We are producing and developing many things, but we are not concerned about patents and IPs, because if somebody is trying to come up with the same product or service, it's good for the society, because we can only have access to a certain percentage of the society, because we don't have such means to produce like to 50 million products. We can only produce few thousands maximum.
So we'll take a couple more. One is from Aisha. She says, is it mandatory to bring only a fully working prototype to revive medical technologies to proceed with testing? And she's also
Yes, we are.
asked, how much
Yeah.
does it cost to an entrepreneur to get R&D services?
Yeah, because I'm also part of some national incubation centers. I'm having a role over there as a mentor, as a domain expert. So I can see some of the, and I've come across some of the health tech startups. They are trying to get DRAP license. You cannot get a DRAP manufacturing license in a room where you've been incubated. Let me be very straight with you. So you have to have some collaboration with some entity. We are a service providing company. So if Aisha, you have a prototype ready, we'll help you in the testing and validation. We will help you in the regulatory approval from the regulatory body with your name and brand name. And we can also help you in the contract manufacturing, because we have the manufacturing license, so we will give you the contract manufacturing services so that you can get the anonymous batches in your doorstep. You can just do the secondary or tertiary packaging or warehousing and label it with your own brand name and sell it.
So we'll take a
Because,
final. Yeah.
sorry, Asi, but because the
Yes.
ultimate objective is to fill the gap in the society.
Yeah. So we'll take a last question from Aruj. As researchers, we often present our ideas to our PhD supervisors, but sometimes they dismiss them by saying this idea won't work here. In such cases, what should one do? Moreover, there are times when a supervisor takes credit for the idea that originally came from the student. How should one navigate a system that functions like this?
You know, this has been the problem when I used to be the student and I was studying. The thing is, that if you are coming up with an idea, you will have to do some investigative exercise. I have a wish list of about 2 pages, and there are like 20 different technologies which I wish as an academic researcher that I should, develop these technologies. But there's a fact I'm sharing it with you, that in most of the cases your idea is very novel, but there is no business case associated with those ideas. And in most of the cases, uh, you have a very conventional idea, but there's a lot of market demand. So if you are coming up with an idea for your PhD, just focus on the fate of that idea, that whether that idea, when it is going to be translated as a physical object working in front of you, is there any industry, is there any consumer target audience which are going to use it? And secondly, I think you should not be very concerned about these petty things, that somebody will take your idea, and your supervisor will take the credit of it. I mean, these are all petty things, because hard work always, it is always pays off, and you will get the due share, naturally. If you will put in a lot of heart and soul into something, you will get your due share. Even if somebody is getting the credit, that is temporal, that is temporary, that is just for the time being. He got, or he has attained that kind of credit, or secured that kind of credit. But ultimately, the trick. This is your idea. You know how to develop it, how to, convert it into a product. So we will have to be very open minded, because those times are gone, where we were so concerned about the novelty of an idea, the patents and everything, the protection. We are in huge numbers now. See the population around you. If you just go into the roads, you can't even drive on the roads. So we will have to come up with an open access and an open sort of strategy. If I am coming up with some products, and if you are also trying to bring the same product for the same problem, for the same gap in the society, let it be.
Thank you, sir. I think those are all the questions that we have for now. So we would like to now conclude today's session. Once again, thank you very much for taking out the time and delivering such a interesting and important lecture. It was highly appreciated by the participants in the chat. So
Thank,
thank you to the participants as well
thank you,
for
Asif,
joining
for
us
making
virtually.
making
No
Thank you,
problem at
Asif.
all,
The
sir.
credit goes to you for making this whole effort, a reality. And thank you for having me. And I'm really grateful to the audience. They've taken out time and they've listened to me. And probably I made sense today, and I can be of any help uh, to the people around me.
Perfect. So inshallah, we'll plan the next lecture after a few weeks, and then we'll announce that as well. So thank you very much, sir. and
Thank
we'll
you.
just
Thank you.
conclude the session here today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Assalamu alaikum.
Thanks.